Welcome to Xfinity Third Chair. It's time for some fan-submitted questions presented by Xfinity, and we're joined by Colt McCoy. Colt, we appreciate you for hopping on with us, man.
Yeah, that's an honor. Thanks for letting me be on the show today.
I wouldn't say it's an honor until we finish. I would wait for that one, but we appreciate you coming on either way. I guess we'll start with this question, and Colt, will start with you on it. How do you possibly slow down Ohio State's offense?
Oh, man, I had the pleasure of calling their game against Michigan State a couple weeks ago, and you watch the team, you break them down, you look at them, and you're just like, okay, it starts with the running backs, right? Those two guys are both the best 1-2 punch in college football, in my opinion. And then you get Donovan Jackson back, and you have this offensive line that's like pretty gelled. And then you start looking at their run game, and it's Chip Kelly, and it's every scheme you can think of. It's inside zone, outside zone. There's pulling schemes, guard and tackles pulling. Then you got the toss cracks, and you run toss to the boundary, toss to the field, and then you throw a reverse to Jeremiah Smith on top of that when the defense all full. I mean, there's just so many things they can do in the run game. And, one of the cool things that I remember talking to Chip and to Will Howard about is you guys might ask them, it's called cognitive learning, CLC, cognitive learning communication. So basically, Chip, it's like, hey, after he calls the play in his helmet, it's like, hey, okay, free safety down weak, let's run it strong. Or, hey, this is a 1-high, 2-high read. Like, there's little things that they do in their communication in the headset that I think is really valuable for a veteran quarterback like Will Howard. You can put that on his plate, and he's really the manager and getting them into the right runs. We might take it to the shade instead of the 3 technique here, right? Like these little code words that he and Chip have together that I think he's a very efficient manager of the game. And I think he's getting better in the pass game. That's coming along, but just what they're able to do in the run game against different looks with Chip Kelly in that system. I mean, it's proven. They did it in the NFL. They've done it in college for years, and I think they have the skill and the offensive line to do that. And man, I think that's really hard to stop.
Yeah. I mean, that's great stuff. It's funny you say that about the communication, because I've talked to a few quarterbacks this year that they have this attitude, like after a certain point, they just want the coach to stop talking. It's like, just let me go play now. Just don't give me too much. But a guy who can handle that, there's some really valuable nuggets you can get right before you get ready to snap the ball. So that's very interesting. And
yeah, I remember what he said. It's CLC, cognitive linguistic coding. I was like, okay. you got to explain that.
Sounds like a terrible college course.
Yeah, right. But I think you're right. I think it's just little tips and reminders at the end that the headset gives them flexibility to do. And one of the things Ryan Day told us was, tell me about Will Howard. He said, well, he's mature, right? Meaning he's played a lot. He's seen a lot. Played in Kansas State forever, right? Those things, he can get you into the right plays and looks because he's a veteran guy. And I just really think it's been really good for them offensively.
Yeah. I mean, an answer to the simple answer to the question, how do you stop them? I don't think you do. I really, unless they stop themselves, unless they turn the ball over, I don't know that you stop them, because their O-line is playing really well right now. And as Colt said, you got a great play caller who's going to scheme you up. You got skill all across the field, and they're super efficient in the red zone. So unless they turn the ball over, you're not going to stop them. I think the only way to beat them is you're going to have to outscore them. I mean, that's just the plain and simple way it is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Will Howard has had, he's been good for 1 pick a game, it seems like, right? So eliminate those. And then, we talked about Quinshad Judkins, Travion Henderson, their offensive line, but they still have 2 of the best receivers in college football too.
Right.
Maybe, the first or second best receiver as a freshman. I mean, Jeremiah Smith's unbelievable. Emeka Ibuka's great. Like they're all around good, and they're going to be hard to stop.
Yeah, that is for sure. So the question, I guess, lends itself to the second one here that was submitted. Todd, we'll start with you. Will the winner of this game, Ohio State and Oregon, finish the year undefeated?
So I think that in the case of Ohio State, I would say yes. I think Oregon, I'm not as 100% sold on that. And really, look, last week should be perfect evidence that going undefeated is really hard. College football is crazy, right? You're talking about 18 to 22-year-old kids for the most part. Got a lot of old quarterbacks playing in college football, right? The older guys. But for the most part, you're still dealing with college-age kids. And so you don't know. Going undefeated is really hard. But Ohio State, from a talent standpoint, I think they're the most talented team in college football right now. So I think that they have the best shot. They still have to go to Penn State later in the year and play, which will be a really tough test. But I would give them the best shot at it coming out of this game.
Colt, you agree?
Yeah, man. Look, it's the richest roster in college football, right?
Right.
I do. I think Oregon will be a good test for them. I just it's hard for me to see them slipping up. I mean, you talk to them and there's a confidence about them and an urgency about them that is, it's essentially natty or bust. That's what they've said over and over and over. And I think that's their mindset, and I don't think they've really been tested a lot. I think they'll get tested this week. You kind of see what that looks like for them. Defensively, I think they're obviously their roster's extremely talented and great players across the board. But I do think there's still some holes in their defense, and I think teams have been able to move the ball. They haven't been able to score much. When we called the Michigan State game a couple weeks ago, that first half, Michigan State really moved it up and down the field. They just turned the ball over and had some bad breaks as they got closer to the end zone that kept them out. And then the second half, they got blown away. So it'll be a fun game to watch this weekend up at Oregon. But I if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would think that Ohio State has a pretty good path to kind of find themselves right where they want to be when this regular season's over.
The Michigan State games for both these teams the last 2 weeks have felt eerily similar in how they were layered, and Michigan State moving the ball, the turnovers in the red zone, and then the second half dominance from both of the teams. We appreciate you guys for coming along on this Xfinity Third Chair. Remember, you can submit your own questions every week to our show using the hashtag Big Talk as we get set for this top 3 showdown.